exploring a new area of my life.
Mhm.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt.
Oh,
I gotta go. My last day
no.
of my foreman training, so a
Oh, very
little late
exciting.
because of the winter condition, but yeah, all
Yeah.
good. Nice to
Tomorrow
be
Wow.
you'll
with
be
you
Hear
guys.
your
exhausted.
voice, Pascal.
All right.
Congratulations and
Thank
Great
you.
day,
Congratulations.
man.
Love you guys.
okay,
Bye.
You
bye.
too.
Bye,
So,
Pascal.
Bye.
so I've got to go shortly too. This is such a good conversation. I wanted to relate to the opposite of the spice. No more of sometimes not using that spice for that and related to relationships. So you could be, for extreme example, so say if you're married to a narcissist and it's just like, ugh, it's like not good. And then you come out of that relationship, yay. But it left a whole bunch of triggers in you. So every time you see that person or think of that person, those triggers just like ruminate all in you. It's like a bunch of boogie ghosts up in you that come up.
Mm.
But as you hone in on each one of those vibrations or boogie ghosts that come up and take responsibility for the feeling and see them for the Jedi teachers that they are,
Mm.
isn't it wonderful that you grow up and you are in the actual presence of that person
Mm.
and you are poised?
Yeah.
And worse and better at the same time than that, you're able to transact and hold your own in a business transaction, and they try to bring that old stuff at you, and you, you're aware of being rattled, you're almost kind of rattled, but you refuse to respond rattled, and you hold them to the line of the letter of the paper of the agreement,
Mm.
and it's a win-win situation. You
Well,
make it be a win-win situation. It's not like they win or you win. The deal is a win-win situation. Or you don't do the deal. You walk away.
Mm.
And instead of dropping the mic, you drop the pen. Boom. Turn on your heels and leave with all of you that came more sure of who you are. They
Mm.
either do the deal win-win or it's no win. Peace. That's a big grow up. That's a real big grow up.
it certainly is. That's a wonderful description too, Sandra.
And if you sweat, don't let them see it.
Mhm.
Never let them see you sweat.
And when you become aware of stuff like that, then you can actually learn stuff from it.
Absolutely.
You learn about this the terrain of your power.
And that's self-challenging too. So I'm learning how to expose myself to challenges. I think I told you guys I was dealing with anxiety Sunday or Monday. And I
Yeah.
really had to sit with that all as I was functioning and piecemeal it away. All of the circumstances have not changed, but I refuse, and it's not refusing, it's just that my soul will not allow me to cower down under it. I'm, I'm making it a win. I'm taking that energy and using it a different way.
Mhm.
Muting it.
What did you say? Muting it?
You're transmuting it into something new.
Yes,
Mm.
yes. Before I tried to mute it though, you're on it
Yeah.
so many ways. It's like, no, it's not there. It's the
Yeah.
boogeyman, blah, blah, blah. It's getting me.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, I see you.
Mm.
I know you. I may not know you, but I'm familiar with your effect on me, with me.
Mm.
And I call it being compliant to it. I have a t-shirt, just one that was made called Compliant No More, with the
Mm,
word compliant in the circle with the line going through it.
nice.
Wow, this is so good. I wish I
Yeah.
could stay. I've gotta run. Welcome back, Kylie. So welcome
Thank
back.
you.
Yeah.
Well,
You
let's listen to
sound
anything.
so energized and
That's
powered
hilarious.
up.
I'm sick.
It doesn't matter. No. You're transmuting.
It's true.
You're
Definitely.
transmuting. But
I
your
had a
spirit isn't contained by the circumstances
no,
that your
no.
body's transmuting through.
Mhm. Yeah.
Your
I think,
body is just out of alignment with the spirit and mind.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think the most special part of my trip was just, I think I said this already yesterday, like being on a trip with a group. I mean, the first time I went on holiday was with the one friend I went to Cuba with in March. But this was my first time going with a group, and it was a group of friends in their 50s. And I just felt so lucky to have, just to be involved in that um, friendship and to, get to see them kind of supporting each other and giving advice to each other and, to hear their input on my experiences and, um, from the perspective of that age where they're not my family members or like trying to raise me, they're just like my friends.
Mm.
They're offering
Mm.
mentorship, of course, but also they're just offering, hey, if you want to meet up, if you want to come visit Argentina, come stay with me. Like, it was really, really fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I think I credit that to a lot of what I'm feeling now. So very lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Cinderella had to leave. But yeah, it was cool.
Mm-hmm. It was.
Mm. Happy I went,
Mm.
despite what I thought were like limiting factors in my alignment physically,
Mm-hmm.
It didn't mean that I wasn't able to find more alignment in another part of my being.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't limit yourself.
Yeah, just because I may be limited in some ways, like to explore the part that's not.
That's an invaluable lesson in life.
Mm.
And it's amazing how the part that's not, that you discover, that isn't limited, how that begins to reduce the limitations of the other part.
No, definitely. No, definitely. The new no, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how common that is. I know it's very common in South Africa. So
Mm.
I love that phrase. No, yeah. I use that quite often.
yeah.
When do you use it, Mona? Do you know? Can you remember?
Oh, yeah. When I say something It's almost like irony. I don't know how to explain it. It's like usually it shows up in humor. It's something that I see humor in. Yes, and it's like, oh, no, yeah, that's funny. It shouldn't be, but it is. You know those moments?
Mhm. I definitely do identify with those. Mhm.
It's like, I'll give you an example, a real life example, actually. My dad got himself kicked out of his gym for 30 days at least, possibly forever. And at first I'm like, no. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I get it. Because he's been doing this thing that they've asked him not to do forever. He likes to help, he wants to feel validated. And they don't want his help, but he still insists on giving his help. Well, somebody complained about it. And for a long time, I kept telling him, just listen to these people and be a participant.
Mm.
Yeah, don't try and go in there and take over something and be bossy to other people, because that's what he was doing.
Mhm.
So when he finally said he got a 30-day sabbatical, I'm like, no, yeah, no, yeah. And I'm like, he did it to himself. And it has to be funny because I can't feel sorry
Yeah.
for my dad because he's been warned. And it's like, yeah, that ended up being funny.
Yeah.
And it shows up in one of those unexpected calm periods.
Mm.
Yes.
When we're able to observe and not be triggered.
Yeah, I haven't been caught up in it. I mean, when he first started doing stuff, I didn't realize he was doing stuff.
Mm.
So I started investigating and asking questions, coming to find out, yeah, he's just doing stuff.
Mm.
So realizing that has helped me take a step back and go, he is responsible for himself. I'm not responsible for what he does and who he is.
Mhm.
But it took me a long time to come to that place because as a kid, I guess, growing up, they would make me in charge of my sister, and that wasn't my job.
Mm.
Yeah. And I think that kind of started that.
Mm.
And I'm supposed to feel responsible for everything that happens, and it's all my fault somehow
Mhm.
if it doesn't turn out right.
Mhm. And when it does turn out right, it's got nothing to do with you either,
Yeah, that's true.
right?
Yeah.
It's very confusing for a child, even for an adult.
That's what we call a lose situation.
Mm.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
That's right.
That's how a friend of mine described the job of product manager.
Mm.
She was warning me because I was some of the advice I got from someone that I was out in Mexico with was that I should look at like project coordination as like a career path in finance. And yeah, I have a friend who's a product manager in design.
Mm.
And she said it's really managing people because everything falls on you. Like if the team doesn't get stuff together, it's totally your responsibility. But when things go right, no, you don't get any of the credit, right?
Mm,
You have to be prepared for that, which is
Mm.
would kind of mess with you, you know? I think it takes a special kind of like understanding and preparation to not let that
mm,
really get to you in that kind of a role.
Mm.
Especially because so many of us have that kind of like pre-inclination to like heightened sense of responsibility, you know,
mhm,
to not internalize it.
mm.
Takes a truly detached person to do that.
Yes, Heinz, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to mean like always detached. That's what I'm thinking about is like I definitely like I think you have to be able to compartmentalize because you want to be detached, but not
Not with
necessarily
not with everything in your life.
exactly.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Well, what comes to me is that phrase that we also work with about not taking things personal.
Mm.
Right. And so there's a little bit of a difference between being in the English language, I would say, between being detached and not taking things personal. And not taking things personal for me is a it's a more malleable state of being, because you can still experience you can still experience joy and um, positive reinforcement when you don't take things personally. But with the word detached in English, if you go with the dictionary version of that word, it is almost an 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 experience of not being that you're not influenced by anything, and so you're very separated.
Not taking things personal. Ain't it the same as emotionally detached?
Correct, Heinz. Yeah, that's exactly it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good differentiation, I think.
Because the only thing we actually have that's personal is our emotion.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Funny, I can actually remember what we were what was in the chat yesterday when Jesse wrote one. What is it? Name it. Two. What could it be? And
Mm.
normally I don't have that great kind of memory to remember stuff, but I actually remembered that thing.
That's amazing, Heinz.
I'm so proud, actually.
It's the essence of our thinking, you know. It's very
Yeah.
cool.
I'm starting to think that if I don't make my coffee immediately, which is a bit of a loud process, I'm going to fall back asleep. So I think I'm going to go. But have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a
It's wonderful to
blessed
have
day,
you.
Kanda.
Yeah.
Joe's in the
Bye-bye.
waiting room.
Who's in the waiting room?
Joe is. He just
Joe.
posted in the chat.
Okay.
Hmm. Well, Jesse is on mute, so maybe he's doing something.
Yeah. Mona, where did you see Joe post that in Messenger?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have
In
been made the
Hudson.
host, but I'm on my phone and I don't know how to let him in.
Okay.
Yeah.
It
So how
usually
do I undo that?
mm, it's weird that it didn't come up because usually I've been on my
Yeah,
phone before where I can let them in.
Okay.
yeah, but it's only 10 seconds you have or so because it only comes up for 10 seconds and then disappears.
And then it disappears.
I don't know where to find it.
I'll send him a note in Messenger, Mona.
Okay.
I'll tell him just to wait 5 and come back.
Okay.
If he logs off and logs on again, you'll get a new notice.
Yeah, okay, I'll tell him to do that as well.
Yeah. I was wondering where the English guys were today.
I don't know that he's seen it. Okay, there, he's seen it now. Good.
This young woman, Sandra Serrano, I believe she was 19 at the time. She was sitting, getting some fresh air on the exits, and where she saw this woman in a polka dot dress and accompanied by a male. They put a flame out the back exit right past her, and they said, "We shot him." And she said, "We shot Kennedy." So I see Sir Hunter earlier in the evening, just Sandra Serrano. And she was identified as dark brunette hair and wearing a white dress with polka dots. Her story was considered credible enough to put out an all points bulletin for this young woman in polka dot dress down at the time.
I have the feeling when Jesse makes somebody else the host, he should probably warn us so we can pay notice to the phone that people are trying to get in.
Yes,
Good point.
Allison,
Yeah.
does this mean that you have the ability to let somebody in?
No, he didn't make me host or co-host.
He made me host, and I don't know how to do that from my phone.
Yeah.
Well, it normally comes up with a notice in Zoom that says Joe is trying to get in, and then you just press let him in.
Okay, but my computer, I would know how to do that. I'm not on my computer, I'm on my phone, and I'm
Oh.
clueless.
It will come down from the top, I think, Mona.
It's not doing it.
Yeah, but he might not have logged back in yet.
Oh, I'm here. He's trying to log back in again now.
I just let him
Okay.
know in the chat that you're working on it.
Thanks, Will.
Yeah. Technical difficulties. It's okay.
Yeah.
If there should be maybe in the participants tab there at the bottom there, Mona, that might be able to give you the
Invite.
option, let him in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't, Will. Not on my phone. I'm on an iPhone. I don't know what phone
Yeah.
she's.
Well, I'm just thinking if Mona's the host, then she should have that capability probably. But you'd have to tap on the participants tab at the bottom, Mona. And then it might give you that option to let him in.
It says Jesse's a host now.
Yep.
Okay.
Same does mine says when I press it.
Oh, good. That gets me off the hot seat.
If nothing else, we can share the blame with Jesse.
Right?
Sharing is caring.
Not with everything. Got to be careful about that too.
Mm-hmm.
You know that thing about good intentions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What is it they say? The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
And the other logic is that. Here that was fired at the point blank range. That's the weird thing. All witnesses saw standing
Mona, have you got a radio on?
I'm trying to mute myself. Hang on.
It's okay.
Joe writes he's coming in right now, but yeah. We're doing our best.
I think
And BK,
Jesse must have taken another call.
yeah.
Waiting in anticipation. What's next?
nearly 160 years, amazing things that don't be born. So it's pretty neat. Yeah, that's
I'm taking a trip to Canada.
You are?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Cool. Come on up.
she's coming here first. Well, you got to come to Ontario first, and then you could go to BC.
Oh yeah, no, that's okay. Go where you like.
I'm coming to see Annette.
There you go. Hey, awesome.
It was it's one of those things that's been on my list. And the opportune moment came up.
That's really good news because Annette is not too far away from me. So,
Well, maybe I'll get to meet you too, Allison.
I'm determined to get to meet you in person.
Well, it sounds like it'll be a trip that we'll all three be a part of.
Mm.
Are you and Annette not too far from each other, Allison? Or
Yeah, like I think the longest time that it would take is about an hour and a half.
well, that's not too bad, eh? In Canada, Canadian terms. of driving.
Yeah, exactly.
An hour and a
We're
half.
used to drives.
That's halfway through Denmark.
Yeah. That's far in Denmark, and it's not far in Canada. It's funny, eh? Like me, I when I drive to work, it's like an hour one way.
Well,
Whoa.
well, in Toronto, it takes you an hour, but then you'll only be doing 25 Ks.
Yeah, on the 401, right?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Mm.
Pass. I'm going to pass on that.
Won't take that spice, hey, Will.
I'm going to do an early AM flight from St. Louis to Chicago. And then I'm going to go from Chicago to Toronto, and I'm going to go from Toronto to London. And that's going to pick me up there.
So you fly from Toronto to London, or how are you going to do that?
Huh?
Do you fly from Toronto to London?
Yes.
Okay.
London is in England.
Yes, but no, Hans, you got to learn that Canada is it's so much a colony. You have no idea. I mean, South Africa was, colonized by the British, and we had huge influence of British culture there. But yeah, in Canada, they still celebrate Queen Victoria's birthday as a holiday.
Oh yeah, that's right, in May. The May long weekend, we call it.
Yeah, I mean,
What date was it?
Victoria Day.
What date?
What date is it? Well, I forget. I
don't even know. I think it's like May 21st or something like that, maybe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Usually like the third weekend of May, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So, in other words, even the town that I live in is named after a British general who decimated people in the Boer War in South Africa. So it's so weird.
Wow. What's the name of the town?
Kitchener.
Kitchener. Oh, okay.
And then the
Henry
twin
Kitchener.
town that it's kind of linked to, or not kind of linked, that geographically is right next door to it, is Waterloo.
Waterloo and Kitchener. Okay. Waterloo.
Yeah.
Couldn't escape if I wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kissinger wasn't, or Kitchener. Well, wasn't it Henry he was named? For some
No,
reason, I
that
got
was the
That's
US.
Kissinger.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's Henry
That's someone
Kissinger.
else.
okay. I
Yeah,
knew I
so
knew that name.
I mean, it's so interesting, right? When you think of what dominance will do, how it just appropriates and puts its own stamp without looking at what there is to capture in what they are capturing. So there's no reciprocity at all.
So it's the same with England. There are lots of Danish names just in English. Newcastle. In Denmark, we have something that's called Nyborg, and that's Newcastle just in Danish.
Mm. 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 What's the opposite of dominance?
Quality.
Sorry, Hans, I couldn't hear that.
Well, it's probably the neutral of it.
Is that the opposite?
Nah, I don't think so. I think it's more the neutral of it. Of dominance is equality. I don't know if it's the opposite.
Oh, okay. So I didn't hear your word equality. Sorry. No, equality is a very good opposite, I would say. The word that came to me was collaboration.
Oh, it's working together.
Yeah. And there's so much more expansion in that. You know,
Yep.
if you take a bit of both, right?
Like we're doing here, shifting to be characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we get the both of every world instead of just the both of one world.
Yeah. So much more room to play with.
Yeah, so many more possibilities.
The other thing I was listening to yesterday was an interview with a biographer who was I found very interesting. But the biography that he was being interviewed about was his biography on Elon Musk. And I was really grateful to, I was really glad I listened in because he spoke about people that are disruptors and the importance of the role that they play. But the real, for me, the real nugget of the interview was his conclusion, not just about writing that biography, because he's quite a famous biographer. So he wrote one on Steve Jobs, and he wrote one on the woman that did all the research on the DNA. I think the book is called CRISPR because that's a term that they use I think, for the method that she developed. And I'm talking out of out of turn here now. Anyway, the point is, he's written about a lot of people that in Afrikaans we would call them baanbrekers, and that means that they push through boundaries or through barriers. And that's often what a disruptor can do, or that is what a disruptor does. And he was talking then about the different ways of being a disruptor. And his conclusion was, to go right back to the wisdom of know thyself as a leader, because you have to know what kind of leadership you are best able to impart. And he himself had been in very important or high profile leadership roles. He was the head of CNN at one point, and he was also the chief editor at Time magazine before the internet came in. And they were talking about the different ways of management style, is what some people would call it. So then, as I said, the nugget for me was know thyself, and that was also, I had a day yesterday of just finding these things that all supported, what we do and the importance of what we do here, actually. It was really interesting.
CRISPR is both good and bad. Depends on what it's used for.
Mm. Mm.
It
And
was the same
also, yeah,
with plastic surgery. It was meant for people who had been in accidents or whatever, and now it's become something totally different.
I'm so sorry, say that again, Hans.
Plastic surgery was the same. It was meant for people who had been in accident with discard faces or something.
Yeah.
And now it's become a beauty product.
Yeah.
Same with CRISPR. It was meant for people with Huntington disease to eliminate it in their baby before it became much more than a cell. But now you can make people with super hearing and super advanced. That's sort of cosmetic.
Yeah. Yeah. So it becomes, in some ways, I guess one could say, it becomes a dominance instead of a collaborator.
Yeah. It all depends on who is using it.
Yes. And the reason for them using it.
Yeah. I saw a program where someone had made a future timeline for CRISPR, where it said that all the people who made babies the normal way would sort of be hunted. Because now it was all about designer babies in the future. They want obedience, obedience and stuff like that. They could put that in. So 3 people would get hunted, and they would create CRISPR babies to hunt them, who had vision of a hawk, ears of a bat, hearing and stuff like that. So it would become a divided world.
Mm.
But it's the same with AI. Whoever is programming it is what we get.
That's right. And the more we interact with it, the more we program it.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, you know, because people think that it's something that only the originators can program.
Oh, I saw
But
a
it's
great use for AI. They said they could prick a needle in you where it was connected to a computer or something. And then the AI could tell from just that one point in your body where your arteries were cluttering or something like that, something that would take 2-3 years for humans to figure out.
yes,
It could figure out within minutes.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there is
So
great use for AI if you just see the opportunities and possibilities
exactly,
for using it for the light, not for the darkness.
yeah, yeah. Using it for collaboration and
Yeah.
not dominance.
Exactly.
Hmm. I didn't know that that was the original impetus for developing CRISPR. Thank you, Heinz. Huntington's is a terrible, terrible condition.
And if you can take it out of a lineage by removing that gene,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
even if you were born from a Huntington parent and you don't get Huntington, your children are still in the risk line. Your entire
that's right. That's
lineage
right.
is at risk.
Yeah. And so what I'm thinking about now is Annette's comment earlier on about the renter that's taking up space.
Mm. Yeah, the old spice that is doesn't
Yeah,
taste anymore, but it doesn't have an expiration date. So
yeah,
is it actually expired or has it just lost its value?
yeah. And it needs to be replaced.
Yeah. But ain't that what we're doing with our automatic? It's sort of
Very
is
good observation.
it sort of is expired, so we are trying to replace it with something more tasteful.
Yes. It's something that doesn't limit us as much, right?
Yeah. That's why I like doing this work and I continue doing it, because if I stop doing it, it's like stopping my evolution.
Yes. Limiting your opportunities.
Yeah.
Hmm. It's such a privilege, eh?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Once upon a time, we weren't allowed to think for ourselves.
Yeah. And yet we still did. It's interesting that, eh?
Yeah, I remember when Jesse said that word equilibrium. There's actually a movie that's named that, where they give people drugs so they don't feel anything. Art is outlawed, books are outlawed, whatever.
That's
Because they don't want free thinkers.
Mm. I wonder what the bridge is between dominance and equal or collaboration.
It's allowing.
Yes, so what I also had, Heinz, was imagination.
Mm.
Allowing the imagination. And then I get that old Beatles song of Imagine. It's such a beautiful song, that. And that song speaks to the absence of separation.
Feel that's the problem with most things. It's that separation.
But you know,
And then-
Heinz, then I think about nature, you know, on our planet. And I wonder if life would continue. Certainly it wouldn't continue in the form that it is.
No.
So it's a degree of it, right?
Yeah.
That there needs to be some separation and some connection. And we need both.
Yeah.
But I wonder if we need dominance. I don't, somehow I don't like to think that we do, but why
It's
would
like
it be?
the heart and the ego working together instead of one trying to dominate the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it would change a lot.
Yeah. And then as I'm thinking all of this, then I just think, but my mind is so limited. And it's true. We are very limited in our thinking.
Yeah.
And at the same time, if I ask myself if I've thought all the thoughts that I could think, then I know that the answer is absolutely not. It's the irony of it, right?
Yeah, and we can only thank God that we haven't thought it before that ever was. I'm always grateful that there's always something new to learn, something new to figure out.
Mm. Why do you think you have that gratitude, Heinz? What do you think it is that you feel, that makes you feel that gratitude?
The wonder of the world.
Yes.
I feel a wonder on everything, and I like to see. I don't like traveling that much. I do it if I had someone to travel with, but I don't want to go places by myself.
Mm.
Experiences are meant to be shared so they can become memories you can share together.
Mm. And also, don't you find that the experience when you have shared it, it's much more expansive, right? There's so much more.
Then you can sit down and talk about two different perspectives of the same trip. Like my dad went to Egypt, and I asked him, "How was your trip to Egypt?" "Nothing but sand and stone there." My dad likes, when he goes on holiday, he likes to go to the beach and just lie there for 14 days and then go home. So that exploring ain't really him.
Yeah, that's so different to my dad. I mean, my dad went to Egypt. He came back with all these, like he was so effusive about how incredible it was to stand in front of these pyramids and know how old they were and not know how they got to be built.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
it ignited a fire in him. He started to study, the history of Egypt in a way that he hadn't ever done before.
But I know why my dad looks at holiday that way. He used to have his own company, worked 12 hours daily, 6 days a
Yeah,
week.
yeah,
And so when he's on holiday, he's there to relax.
yeah,
Just relax and have somebody serve him.
yeah,
He's not
yeah.
there for going out to see stuff. When he was 16, they were 54 people that talked about traveling to Europe on motorcycles. There were 4 that did it. My dad was one of them. So he has had
Wow.
good experiences.
Yes. He'd had enough.
Yeah. I'm just the opposite. If I go someplace, it's to explore and see. I'm not into exploring food because I'm not very much a foodie. So I'm there to see new things and experience new things and put my hands on it if I'm allowed.
Hmm.
To see history, like your dad probably did. To
Mm.
be astonished about, whoa, they could
Mm.
do this. And he called them what prime that
The
we are
pyramid.
evolved. We are
Yeah.
prime. We are evolved. No. We can't even build something like it now.
Yeah.
Even with all our great machinery or anything, we can't even make stones like they made it.
Yeah.
So
So when I asked you that question, where you said you had gratitude, and I was curious about what ignited that experience of gratitude. What I got was for myself was that it brought momentum, and that brought about the experience of gratitude for me.
I have a feeling I've always been grateful in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
But unlike most other people, my nanny was a dog.
The best.
Yep. Pure emotion.
Yeah. And so willing to give and receive.
Yeah.
Mm. They are such amazing companions.
Most funny thing it was my dad's hunting dog. So my dad couldn't, if I lied on a blanket on the floor and the dog was there, my dad couldn't get near me. He would raise her teeth and he would have to say, call my brother or my mother to, can you put Heinz to bed? Well, he knew what he did when he picked up something. So he had her own idea of what he was going to do to me.
It's so delightful.
And I had an idea that I didn't want to be at home. I think the first time I ran away, I was 2.5 years old. A man came home with me at 2:30 or 3:30 in the morning and asked, "Is this yours?"
Oh my God, Heinz, your parents must have been beside themselves.
Yeah, my dad said we can't tie him to the old where you hang clothes, not clotheslines, but those with four you could sort of fold out.
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, let's just tie him to the dog. He could just call on her and she would push me home."
Oh gosh.
I was allowed to go explore.
Yeah. So
He
different
knew
now, eh?
safe and what was not. Yeah, not. Oh my God! Now it would have been child endangerment, and I don't know what.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think you could be much more safe than with a trained dog. It would give you its life for you. I don't see many people who are working with children who are willing to give their life to save a child.
Correct. Oh, I need to go today.
It's been a great day also today. You all have a blessed day.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Mona. Well, thank you, Jess.
Yeah.
Have a
Thank you,
good
guys.
day.
Have a great day.
Love
Yeah.
and hugs.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good day,
Bye.
Allison.
You too, Mona. I can't wait to see you.
Me either.
Bye for now.
Bye bye.
Somebody whisper my name.